After what was some incredible close quarters combat last time we were with you over at the fantastic Alton Park circuit, we head to a track that has all of the hallmarks of a great racing circuit. Here in Braselton, Georgia, it is the ups, the downs, the lefts and rights, and the long charge to 10A and 10B. It's your Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta, and it is your second round of the Skip Barber Racing Series here on iRacing with us on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching around the world. My name is Jake Sperry. Alongside with me in the commentary booth today is Craig King, Daniel Costello in the director's chair with Christian Deploy on help, with Dougie Beard on the cameras here provided to us. But Road Atlanta is one of those tracks which often is a modern classic when it comes to racing and getting yourself the understanding of what makes this track great. We've got the likes of the Petit Le Mans, which comes through every October, which is the hallmark of what makes this circuit so special. But we're not in endurance mode today. Today, it's a full-out sprint, and we'll see what comes along with this circuit with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Road Atlanta, the scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans. This is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it being situated only an hour northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, the circuit is in a prime location. But despite its flagship race, in contrast to the real Le Mans, the full course is a measly 2.5 miles long. The club layouts also clock in at just under 2 miles. Packed within this small lap length is a series of technical and challenging corners, some of which can be race-ending even when small mistakes are made. Turn 1 is a fast sweeper which compresses the car into the track, but the high speeds mean that when you go off, you typically go off in a big way. Turn 3 is notorious for its curved entry into a blind apex. Too far inside and you face a cut course penalty. Too far outside and you're likely to spin out. Then there's the unassuming Turn 5. The wide curving lures you into getting greedy, but the close walls on either side gobble up cars and spit them out as a crumpled heap. With all the tricky fast turns, that's not to say that there aren't passing opportunities. The main one comes at the chicane at the bottom of the backstretch. The huge downhill drop into the turn makes outbraking yourself quite easy though, so be careful. The whole thing wraps up with the frightening final corner. With nothing but a giant wall right to the outside as cars fly through at high speed, it's not often that wrecks are small. Boasting a wide swath of series over its history, everything from NASCAR to Indy Lights and of course IMSA, the main use of the track is SCCA events and driving schools. No wonder this place is popular both in real life and here on the iRacing service. Fans will no doubt get to enjoy many more years of action at this incredible track.
It's a very, very special circuit, this one, Road Atlanta. It gives you all of the challenge of the first sector all the way up to Turn 5, and then you've got the long overtaking opportunity that makes itself known. Craig, we come to today understanding Braselton, Georgia, as this very unique circuit that has this club-style feel but has this legendary aura around it.
Yeah, and this reminds me a little bit of the Mazda MX-5 series that comes in now with these Skip Barbers, because you're going to see a lot of drafting until you get to that straight. But what do you have to do to get to that straight? You've got to navigate the field. And because of the elevation changes, some of the corners, like Turn 3, like Turn 11 into 12, they're going to really just load the rear, make the car a little bit lighter, and you could see some drivers getting a little bit wide and losing the rear more than they should be in these skippies over those hills. Then, of course, you've got Turn 5, which will be a challenge in these cars. Make sure you don't get too far over, or otherwise you will have a little bit of a meeting with the wall, which the drivers don't really want to see today. They want to keep it clean. They kept it clean last week, stand one incident. Fingers crossed they keep it clean this week.
Yeah, just the one split here today, which means the strength of field is down because it's weighted down by some of the other drivers here who are out there and racing. So just on that one split, looking to make that charge. But a circuit here which gives you all of the hallmarks of great battling out there and great racing which will come along. They've got themselves 8 minutes worth of qualifying here to deal with here in round 2 of the championship. It's a 15-lap showdown here today for these drivers to make that challenge. They've got open setups to work with so they can fettle a little bit to give themselves a tiny advantage and a spare car if it all goes wrong. So they do have the ability to jump back and say we can do a bit more if it goes wrong in the opening couple of corners. It will be a standing start here today, as it will be for the entirety of the season. And on top of that, it is old school on the penalty points. It is a pure disqualification at 17 incidents, and that's what I love, that old school feel. A lot of series now in the iRacing sphere here, Craig, go to drive through at 17, disqualification at 25.
Yeah, back in my day, as I like to say, with the cane in the air, we had to make sure we only had 17 incident points. And it really, especially in a sprint race like this, it can happen depending on what happens in the race, or even just too many off track. So it's one of those that you have to start thinking properly. You really have to keep yourself glued on. If anything, this promotes cleaner racing. That's an opinion. I'll take that to the grave. It does promote cleaner racing with the 17 incident points. As you can see, going over those S's is going to be very crucial to not get an off track, because it is oh so tight up there to see the drivers just starting their qualifying times or just getting on their out laps here. Lap times should be coming pretty quick, but we're not expecting to see the blistering 70-second laps that we would see in a modern day prototype.
No, we're definitely not, and these drivers are desperate to get their tyres up to temperature here and put themselves in a place where they've got everything working for their qualifying laps. They know how difficult it is to get the tyres working into those windows, especially when you consider that the track temperature here today is just a very warm 21 degrees Celsius, which means it's probably one of the coldest tracks that they've got. In sim time, 10 past 6 in the evening, so they really are having to work hard to get that temperature in together there, Craig, to put their lap times in on the board as they look to try and get sorted and start.
Yeah, and that's going to be all important, because that could be the difference between 2/10 or not 2/10. So that's going to be very vital. Some of the first drivers already setting their lap times. There's a car just getting himself ready. I see Benny Simonson just starting his lap. Neil Gardner already on his first few laps, or just getting warmed up. This is going to be interesting. The hard braking down the hill for the iconic chicane at 10A and 10B. Could see a lot of moves there. Also, a lot of drivers getting a bit too hot in the brakes, as Finding Neil gets on the throttle through 11 and 12. He's going to start his first lap around the track.
Yep, in a stitch-up British-American racing style livery here of Jordan and McLaren here. Jordan on the right side of his car, McLaren on the left, and through the long turn number 1, 142 kilometers an hour before cresting up the rise and having this small pivot left at turn 2, which leads into turn 3. This really challenges you as you try and keep the power down. The rear stepping out for him through then into turn 4, and now down the S's section. This whitewater rapid style run down the hill, back up the hill, and looking for the braking marker in through turn 5. Over the curb as much as you dare. It's a little bit easier in these cars because you can straddle the full curb and you're not half on the curb and half off of it due to the light nature of this car. And then the 2 transfer corners, and inviting turn number 6, and then turn 7 is a slightly different profile characteristic. It's off camber rather than on camber, so it throws you away through the corner. Very easy to get turn 7 wrong because you're so entrenched in what turn 6 gives you. And now, on this lap, a chance to breathe as the first time comes in from Peter Suapansky, and then Enzo Cantor now finding himself with the quickest time, a 36.7 for the Movano driver. Daniel Otuga currently goes second, but now you hit the brakes. 10A, 10B, downhill braking zone, so you have to brake a little bit earlier than you think you do, and the back stepping out for Neil Gardner there, going through the corner, will compromise some time. Under the Fox Factory Bridge, through 11, and it will be flat out here through turn 12 in these cars. It proves to be all about the run as you try and get off the exit. Maybe the lightest of lifts for a 37.5. 7th place for Neil Gardner, but he'll have one more lap after this.
Yeah, one more lap. Names already coming in, and time's coming in as well. We saw Enzo Cantor, Sam Davantia just taking the pole position by 3/10. It was close between Cantor and Otuga right away. 0.025 between the two of them, but Sam's just come in and said, I know what I'm doing. Really dipping into the 36.4s here. Don't think we'll see a sub 36 today, but if Neil can just rack it together, he's got to find a second, really, if he wants to get some more time coming in. Samson just coming through as well. He's coming around for his first lap time, and they still have another time for another lap.
Mock-up Ferrari for Samson Palatman, who is going to need that second lap available on the board. We've got a handful of drivers here, 19 here today, that haven't put a time in. That's a 36.494, and he was only 200ths off the pole position set by Sam Devontier. So that was a really, really big lap time to put down on the board. Second times are now going to start flying in, as up now to third goes Dennis Johansson. Here's Benny Simonson, who won last time out, and looking for it again as he comes to the line. 36.351, pole for the moment.
Yeah, got to keep your eyes elsewhere as though Sam Devantier is coming down turn 9 into the chicane very shortly. And let's see how he gets this going. He goes onto the brake. Really needs to get this in. When you hit this corner, you can go full throttle almost through 10B. Make sure you don't slide too much of the tires. Don't overheat the tires. Down they go to 11. Needs a real good time here. Got to find a 10th and a half as more times keep flying in. This is the time we're keeping our eyes on. He needs a 36.3. It's a 36.1.
Absolutely wonderful time then, and he put that on the board and said, I've got 2/10 on everyone else. But what about the Italian stallion, Augusto Lovisolo, who could decide that, again, he wants to play a spoiler here today, as he drove so well last time out at Oulton Park. Lovisolo to the line, and it's a 36.350 front row for car 10 out there. Perfect with 1:45 to go. There's Jordi Pujol-Reo, who now looks to try and get himself into play, and Pujol-Reo is now looking at this out of 10B, currently on a 37.9. It is mock-up Alpine, looking now to find 0.8 of a second to get to Yannick Morel in terms of pace, crosses the line and does a 37.5, so 0.4 of improvement, but no places there. The only other drivers who can make improvements out there are Rafael Moreno Ruiz, and then the Good Smile racing car there, which we saw of Rafael Moreno Ruiz, and then Jeremy Swank, who is yet to set a time right now here, Craig, and is desperate for one.
Yep, this is it now. They've only got time for one lap, and he's going to have to make this count. May not be a quick lap, as he probably just wants to get up the order. You don't want to be on the back row. You want to be a few rows up, of course, so we'll see what he gets to do. But already looking, it looks like his time very slow, and he's just having a few moments out there. Don't think this is going to be a quick time, but it's still a respectable time. Anytime you can record a qualifying lap, all important. So Swank will come around the line, see what it's going to be for him. We still have the Ruiz in that Good Smile livery just coming by, and he's just going to make out. That didn't count for Swank, but for Ruiz, it's going to not count either. That's not going to be on the grid for those two.
No, so they'll be split by their iRacing, which means Rafael Moreno there with the anti-diva on the side of the car is going to be in 17th, with Jeremy Swank then in 18th. Qualifying done and dusted in the books, and very crucially, a big, strong qualifying there for Sam Devontier, who will put the number 2 car on pole position, but it only gives you the best possible chance. It doesn't indicate that you can win this race outright. Augusto Lovisolo is going to be alongside him then on the front row on a 1:36.351. It's then Benny Simonson, who won last time out. He'll go from third, with Samson Pilatman in fourth. Dennis Johansson and Enzo Cantor make up the third row of the grid. It's nice to see the man from Bari in Italy out there racing. It's then Ryan Chenoweth in seventh, with Daniel Atuga eighth. Neil Gardner will start ninth, with Peter Suapanki, who rounds out your top 10 of the field. It is then following onto the page with Craig King.
Yeah, Yannick Mara will be 11th. Beside him, that Jordi Pujol-Reo that we saw in 12th. Brendan McDonough will be unlucky 13th, with Peter Corrales in 14th. Then Diego Festari will take 15th, with Latchin Ruiz in 16th, the last of the time qualified. Ruiz, Swank, and Ridiero, we all saw them not setting a time. They'll be on the top of the hill for the grid start.
Slowest time out there from Lachlan Weiss, as he put his time over 1:41.0 from him, and racing out of Club Oz NZ. So he's got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of Oz NZ drivers actually here, though, to be fair. So we've got about 7 of them out there. Devontier, Gardner, Chenoweth, McDonough, Corrales and Weiss, all part of the Oz NZ community. So they are all in strong numbers here today as they look to try and get their best result on the board. But here today at Road Atlanta. They do line up here around this circuit, around the final corner. So those on the inside of the circuit do have a little bit of an advantage when you get to about row 7 on the grid. They can straight line a little bit more and gain a little bit as they take the path of least resistance. But for 15 laps, they're going to want to try and get into positions early and not battle too hard, I'd feel, through the chicanes of the early section of the lap. Turns 10A and 10B are the prime place today to get it done. 2 minutes then on the clock. Let's get ourselves sorted. One car will start from the pits. That is Rafael Moreno Ruiz. But as the green flag drops, 15 laps starts now, and we are underway. Devontier moves over to the left-hand side as if to take the natural racing line. Lovasolo had a decent start, but Benny Simonson couldn't really capitalise, and he holds the middle of the road to try and defend. A little bit of a lunge going down in through from about 7th position as Enzo Cantor is going to lose out. Through goes Chenoweth, and also now up the hill towards turn 3 comes the look then from Daniel Atuga, who dives down the inside. It's clean through the start of this race. What we love to see, Yannick Morales, they now all form single file.
Yeah, here they come down the S. It's a really good start there from Chenoweth and Otoga. Cantor not having the start he wanted, did not get the run, could not get into line like everybody else. He's going to go down in the background. Sorry, having a moment down the S's, and that looks like a lot of damage. I don't see a wing on that anymore. It's just there. He's going to have to get that back going. Maybe needs to use his fast repair. The rest of the field, they're all single file as they get ready to hit the straight for the first time.
A very unique instant there for Diego Festari. He did that all on his own, coming down through the S's. He missed the inside curve, and the back just stepped out with him. Cold tyres then, catching him out in the early stages. Now welcome to Slipstream Central, ladies and gentlemen. 15 straight times. They go down here, expect moves, as Augusto Lovisolo will now make the pass to go to the race lead. And here comes the charge from Simonson and Palatman as they're going to go 3 wide as they go down through, which will turn to a battle for the race lead. Palatman was 4th on the straights. He came on into the corner. He might come out of here with the race lead. Lovasolo with the drive through the second part. Here comes Simonson back.
Yeah, Simonson's going to have to fight this back. Lovasolo, what a race he had last week, working his way through, using the slipstream to his advantage. He's got the lead right away. Don't expect him to keep it for so long. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do behind. More drivers almost forcing it 3 wide. Devantier having to defend against Johansson. Manages to do it. Now he gets on the attack against Blackman. It's going to be tough to try and hold this. He'll have the inside for 3, but the inside for 2 belongs to Blackman.
Well, here's the issue. The moment you start attacking, you've got to defend. The moment you start defending, suddenly an opportunity comes to attack. And it looks like Yannick Morale is there in 14th position. So he's now starting to bring himself a little bit further back down the order from where he was. So he's lost about 4 spaces through the opening corner, and he's had that issue by running wide. Top right-hand corner of your screen, Diego Festari just goes into the corner, back starts stepping out, and he just can't gather it back up again, Craig.
No, it looks like that rear is already going. Maybe didn't get the tyres warming up a little bit. They do have tyre warmers on the grid, but you can't help it. Too much Cantor in the background, just making a overtake on Chenoweth. And now they come to the straight once again. The cloud has gone in. Do not adjust your set. The cloud has gone in. This is going to cool the track down a little bit. Going to be really interesting to see if that allows the drivers to get a little bit later on the break. We could see a battle of the lot of the late breakers here, but we are going to go 3 wide. And Lovisolo is trying to defend it. He can't. They're almost going 4 wide, Jake.
Almost, but crucially, they got the clearance before Devontier got there, as now Palatman and Simonson continue on, giving just enough room. Simonson has to open the steering out through 10B. That brings Sam Devontier in, and it's a battle pack. You can throw a blanket over them because you got Daniel Atuga there. Lovisolo back into 5th position. Johansson in 6th. Enzo Cantor with all the wealth of experience that he's got from racing in the 2K World Cup over a decade ago, now sits and watches this group and what they're capable of doing. And then you've got Chenoweth, and then you've got Gardner, and they're all there and they're all happy. 9 cars clear at the front of the field, and 3 wide to turn 3. Now you're going to have to be a little bit clever at the way you go through. Simonson almost getting 1 in the side there from Daniel Atuga, who now has no drive off the exit, and Lovasolo can take the Whitewater Rapids as they almost interlock.
Yeah, down 4. And the SCT actually goes around the outside of Lovely Solo. That's impressive that they both were able to do that. Look at the time they've lost. They're going to have to work together to get back on that slipstream off the top 3. But the top 3 will start battling as they go in. We're going to see Lashan having a little bit of a moment. Oh, that looks like an engine blow. That looks like an engine blow to me. I see the smoke. So unfortunate there. He manages to get off and get onto the gravel, straight into the pits for a fast repair. That could be a very long race for him now on his own.
Yeah, not easy for Lachlan, and the way that played out, he's going to be on the back foot now, trying to get as many points as he can, but back up to the front here on lap 3. Samson Palatman, not much he can do about this, because Sam Devontier will move straight by, and will Benny decide he wants to make a power move? Out of turn 9, he will, and straight down the hill. Palatman was immediately on the brakes. Simonson chucks it down the inside and picks up the pass. So back to the race lead goes Benny Simonson. And the one place that we see a lot from these drivers is that they like to lead races like these from the front. It gives them a lot to say that they've got the least amount of worry to deal with. They just have to worry about who's behind us. Here comes Danny Otuga going to the inside searching, and so too is Samson Palatman, a little bit opportunistic. 2 wide, 2 deep through 1.
Yeah, they're 2x2 once again. They're almost going 3 wide, but they're not. They'll stay 2x2 into 3. Now, who's going to get here earlier on the brakes? I'll tell you what, Lovely Solo again around the outside of Otuga to hold that position into 4th. Caught up to the back of this build, which is very interesting. You mentioned that they love to lead here, Jake. This is usually a racetrack where you don't want to lead until the last lap. Use the advantage of being behind to get the slipstream. These drivers don't care about that. They're just going to jostle for position to and fro for the next 10 laps. And then when it's 2 to go, that's when we start to see things get interesting.
Well, let's just do a lap comparison here. Benny Simonson did a 1:37.9 on the front of this group. Peter Soapanki, who is there in 10th position, did a 1:36.9, so it was a full second quicker on that last lap because they're having to battle through a lot of these corners. Devontier, again, is going to happily sit and wait and watch, and he'll have Lovis Solo who's trying to go through. Now it's 3v1. Oh, he's going to thread the needle. Just about enough room given. He threads the needle to go and get the lead, and the door had to be let wide open to allow him to bolt through. He was having none of anything else. Devontier now to your lead, and this becomes a game of where do you want to go. Lovis Solo now up to 3rd.
Well, I didn't know the highway had a middle lane that was just opening up, but it happened, and Sam gets that move done, and he's now taking the lead. A very opportunist opportunity there for him, manages to get it through, and now he once again has to take the lead. And every time we see someone take the lead, by the time they get down to turn 10, they're down into 3rd after the straight usually. These drivers are really giving the respect and really wanting that lead. You don't get points for leading a lap here like it is in NASCAR, but it's just a little bit of bragging rights on the stat sheet.
Yeah, to say I led the most laps in the race is another way of saying, well, I'm the quickest because I was in the lead for the longest time. But you don't get anything for that. You just have to drive with what you can. Gap starting to open here between 6th and 7th. So the work that Enzo Cantor and Ryan Chenoweth and Neil Gardner have to do here to chase down that gap, I think is going to be really important. They are sat at a place where they're just holding on, but not really applying anything here like you're seeing at the front of this group as they run through turn 7 once again. They've got lap traffic in front of them for the first time. That'll be Sebastian Rudia, who is there in a number 19 car that they're going to have to clear out there in this one. It looks like he's been down into the pits, but why don't we just battle 3 wide anyway? Lovis Solo on the outside with the best run of the lot. He's going to make that progress and move through to the race lead, but the side draft comes back from Samson Palatman as down the hill. He's going to fight this every stage of the way, but he turns in later. Lovis Solo comfortably dispatches at the pass. Here comes Simonson.
Yeah, Devontier, like I said, back into 3rd after leading that lap, and now he's all the back. Lovely Solo will probably do that next time, but you can see Benny, he looks, and you think, well, maybe I could go 4 wide. He doesn't want to, and he's just waiting for the right opportunity. This lap traffic could be interesting if he gets out of the way or if they meet him onto the straight. I think it's going to be the former. In fact, he is. He's getting out of the way for the drivers, which is very handy. Enzo Cantor in the back. He's got the fastest lap. Do you realize they're 9 in a row when they're going down that straight, Jake?
Oh, they are 9 in a row, and they are flying. out there as they go through, and that was the lap traffic being scared there, Rudia, off the circuit by Ryan Chenoweth, who got really close to him out there. Yannick Morale, second group now starting to form here, as he's got a deal behind him with Jordi Pujolreu, who is there, Peter Suapanki, who's in that group, and Peter Corrales in the number 14 car, hoping to keep himself steady. And in this battle, it's going to be a very important one. It's worth noting as well here, Craig, it is gusting about here. Wind comes in from the southwest here today at 27 kilometers an hour, which means they're getting a cross tailwind on the backstretch, a tailwind as they go into the braking zone at 10A.
And of course, the sun is now back out again, so that heat's starting to heat up the track. It went down to 19 Celsius, 67 Fahrenheit. Expect a couple degrees near the next couple of laps. Devantier once again retakes the lead. Blackman is going to defend it. He can't do much. And once again, Lovisolo led the lap, got to the chicane. He's third. Stop me if you've heard that before. This might be a trend, and I think the drivers with 10 to go might be realizing this trend.
It's a trend, and these drivers will also be keeping in mind here, Craig. It's where you want to be on the final lap. Sam Devantier there with that move to the race lead goes purple with the fastest lap of a 35.6. So they're getting quicker, and they're starting to ratchet up. On board with Benny Simonson, then up the hill through 2 and in towards turn 3. Over this tiny crest they go through, you got the old club circuit down on the left-hand side, and then you drop and descend down the hill again. You're looking to try and carry the path of least resistance as you go through, trying to make sure you're making as minimal wheel movements as possible. But you can see just how bumpy it is over the curves as you go through, how much the wheel is actually being wrenched away from your hands as you go through.
Not only that, then they get the wind coming straight at them. Remember that west wind we were talking about? So then they just get a full-blown of air from Road Atlanta, and that's not what you want. You then have the crosswind as you come through 6 and 7. Now they're back on that straight. Use all the cold air they can and the cold track they can with the trees. It's early, it's the evening now, so the trees will give them a little bit of shade, but we come back to it. Lovisolo, I don't think, is close enough to try and make another move. Devantier and Blackman will go side by side. In fact, Lovisolo probably wants to look for it. He can't. Look out for Simonson, though. He's going to take this 3 and then 2. Out from 4th. He's looking for the lead.
Benny down the inside. Can he get the clearance on Blackman? Answers no. Lovisolo will now get the run off the exit of the corner. And now it's 3 wide towards turn 12 at the halfway stage of this race. And so now Lovisolo, who gets a little bit caught up on the curve. Watch out, because here comes Devantier, whose run gets tempered as it's a hard move to the inside. 3 wide, 2 deep as they go to turn 1, because Atuga's down the inside of Cantor, down the inside of Johansson for position, and Atuga gets turned.
Atuga goes around, just unfortunate there, just in the background, got tapped for Cantor. Cantor, I don't think, realised that was going to happen. It was just a difference of speed. Atuga goes around, he's not very happy, but Cantor straight up puts his hand up and said, I'm sorry, not what I was expecting there. It was just so tight, something had to give at some point, Jay, and it's just unfortunate it's Atuga.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Daniel Atuga was definitely just running his own race there in 5th position, was definitely a candidate to win this one, and you can imagine how upset he'd be there on the exit of the corner, knowing that Enzo Cantor just slightly misjudged the power application on the exit, so he's definitely not going to be best pleased. Meanwhile, Benny's got a little bit of work to do here. That gap has ballooned out to about 0.8 of a second here to Samson Blackman, and I wonder how intensive that was with the battling that they had through the opening corner, and it's taken this entire lap to gather it back. Only now they've managed to gain a 10th back into play, and now here comes the look down the inside from Lovisolo. They're going to have to work hard over these next few laps to give Blackman a chase down, because if they let him go, that's it, group gone.
And look at Cantor, he went to go for an ambitious move. Lovisolo goes a bit wide, maybe getting a bit of a wash of the dirty air, holds it together, but look at this. They were battling through into turn 10A and 10B, and all of a sudden, you've got Lovisolo right on the back of Blackman. Real good work here. It's an elongated train of 6, but it's still a train of 6, and they're still working together. And as they start lap 9, they will still be able to get bunched up here. Here's this moment. They're 3 wide and 3 abreast of 2 lanes, and he goes for the move, and just out of nowhere, you see Cantor just gets right behind, gets on the throttle. I think he just didn't expect the speed difference there.
No, I don't think he did either. I don't think that's intentional from Enzo Cantor. I think he just got himself wrong place, wrong time. He couldn't really open the steering out because he had Dennis Johansson on the outside of him who would have taken advantage the moment he decided to move that way. So I think it was a very tough situation for him, but by no means would I say the way that Daniel Otuga's trying to imply at the moment in the iRacing chats right now, that is not an intentional move. So I think that for Enzo Cantor is clumsy, yes. Intentional, no. That's pretty much the way I line on that. But for the moment, it's now getting interesting because they've caught for the race lead once again. It's taken them a couple laps. Here goes Lovisolo. The Stallion is now going to be galloping away here in Braselton, Georgia. Move done, race lead.
Yep, got that lead once again. Gonna be interested to see what the other drivers do. Cantor was laid on the brakes last time by to try and make a move, did not work. Deciding against it this time in the background. Blackman now in at the middle of a sandwich. Not where he's been, because usually when these three were together, it was usually Simonson that was possibly there. Blackman is now having to just be the meat in the sandwich, not looking forward to it. And meanwhile, Cantor right behind gets a really good run out of the final corner at 11 and 12. He gets that P3. All of a sudden, we've got to talk about Cantor. He really wants that lead.
He's moving right place, right time. It's the first time that Enzo Cantor has moved himself nearer to the pointy end of this race. He is timing his run like a track star at the moment in a 5,000 meter race. It's very much that style that we're seeing at the moment, and the group with the pace that is being put right now is starting to flay. Dennis Johansson struggling way out over there in the back of shot over the gravel at 5, and he and Chenoweth are there going to struggle. Neil Gardner has fallen into no man's land as well. So right now it's 5 at the front, and trying to say, I'm number 6, making a 6-pack challenge. Is Dennis Johansson trying to stay there? But this is where you're going to be looking around. They are going to start playing games here at the front because no one wants to be first, and I don't think anyone wants to be second either.
Well, it might be a 6-pack challenge, and they want to play the game out here, so one of them will be resting in peace at the front of the field, and it looks like Lovisolo once again wants to take the lead, and he does. Here comes Cantor. First time we've talked about it, he gets a really good run, and he's going to get this overlap. We've seen what he could do late on the brakes. He's going to try it once again. The pedigree of this man, he gets it stuck, but he's gone too hard, too deep, and he's going to lose that position. He may even lose P3, as Simonson will get by. 2 by 2, they go into the final 2 corners. Going to be very interesting who gets it. Well, you can see Cantor pulls out, and so does Lovisolo. Reset and reload them.
Yeah, rack it up, start again, let's on go once more, and Palatman still desperate to hold that race lead in command from the front. Lovisolo now going to try and make that drive. Cantor again with a good run on the exit of turn 1, gets past Simonson and moves up into 3rd, but Lovisolo not giving this one up, then past the motorcycle chicane, actually, as he now tries to find that pass and gain that next place. Lovisolo to the race lead now with 5 to go.
Once again, he's made a move around the outside of 4 into the S's. He's really got that dialed in today, really understanding how to get used all of the camber, and now Cantor gets a really good run after Plattman makes a mistake in turn 5. They're going to go side by side. You don't really want to go side by side here. You want to keep onto the back of Lovisolo. Cantor realizes that it is a 5-car challenge right behind them. Johansson gets past Avantier, and that now really does make it a 6-car. Maybe 7 if you just get Chenoweth right in the background.
Well, Dennis Johansson's got damage to the front left of his front wing, so he's down a little bit then in terms of straight line. That's what's giving him all the troubles and why he's at the back. He's got a little bit of a tweak to that front left of his front wing. Front 4 now starting to pull away here because they realise those are the games that are being played. How much is actually being affected here is Johansson by all of this battling. Palatman again holds his station. Lovisolo looking back down the hill through the final corner to get this move, but watch out for turn 1 because that's where Enzo Cantor's going to bring himself into play, and Cantor gets the run in the Movano car. He might go and thread the needle for 3 wide in towards turn number 1. Now we're playing here as Skip Barbers look to battle Simonson. Where do you look?
Well, where do you look and what you want to play? You want to play Uno? Do you want to play checkers? Do you want to play blackjack? Because they got 21, and around goes Cantor, holds it, loses the position. He didn't have the car to that game. He's going to lose that position. He may even lose another position behind them. Johansson, Levantier, they're trying to go side by side. Johansson holds on to it, but look at the gap that Lovisolo's got now.
It's a huge gap of a second, and now the entire group has got to work together to spend a couple of laps to pull back the Italian who leads this field. One rash move by Enzo Cantor completely takes the dynamic in a completely different direction in this race, and that's what they're having to deal with here. Everybody wants to win this race, but everybody can take everybody else out of this race through one wrong move at one wrong corner, and that's why you've got to be so switched on. You've got to be the smartest driver in the race to win races like these.
Let's see what they want to do here. Do they work together in this now second pack? Think of it like the peloton. You've got a man on a solo breakaway, and the peloton wants to catch up to them. Simonson will retake P2 from P4. Behind, Johansson goes for a late break. He does it. Cantor's gone all the way down into 5th. That's not a problem. They need to catch up. They've gained a few tenths on Lovisolo. They need to gain more. They need to work together now, and I think they realize as we hit lap 13 or 15, it's now or never.
We're on 2 retirements from this race. Jeremy Swank and Sebastian Rudia are both out of this one with 3 laps to go. Here at Road Atlanta, and cresting the rise once more goes your leaders, and now the group behind looks to battle. Look how quickly Enzo Cantor's been deposited back to 6th position here with Devontier, with Johansson, and then the small little fragmented group of 2 of Palatman and Simonson, who started together on the 2nd row of the grid. Looking at the driver who started 2nd, Augusto Lovisolo, thinking now we're going to be next to that group. It's going to take Johansson and co at least another lap to get there, and so they can start thinking about where they position a little quicker than other drivers behind who are going to have to be reactive rather than proactive.
Now let's see, because this is lap 13 or 15. Let's see if anyone looks for any moves, or we're going to get a bit of chess games out here right now, just to see if the drivers just want to hold on. Well, Blackman gets a really good run and uses that slipstream early. If he pulls out now, he's not going to get that slipstream. He's got to be careful. Behind them, they're side by side, and Johansson is going to lose that due to that wing damage. But now, 3 wide almost. Are they taking it 3 wide? They're not taking it 3 wide. They're going to wait with Blackman side by side. Simonson on Lovisolo. Has Simonson got a bit too wide? Oh, he does a fantastic catch to hold that corner.
Yes, but look at what it's done. The group's back again. And so all of that posturing and gesturing, what's it got them? It's got them nothing. It's got them everyone back into play. Lovisolo picks the run up off the exit. Palatman thought about going to the inside. There's no room there. Devontier now brings himself into play. Throw a couple popsicle sticks up in the air and almost 3 wide into turn 1. Simonson around the outside. Here comes Devontier looking to jump up onto the podium now. And where do you go? Where do you search? Where do you look? And ultimately, oh, it's a big squeeze for 3rd position. But crucially, Palatman holds that 3rd and Devontier 4th. Simonson leads.
The space between them, you couldn't even put a trafficator in to give an indicator of where you want to go. They're just going by hand signals at the moment and wheel signals. And around the back or the outside, Cantor just clicking up some dust behind them as he's trying to defend against Johansson. Front 4 now are all bunched up together. Penultimate lap this, Jake. This is going to be interesting to see what the drivers do. No one in theory will take this too aggressive. However, you just want to set yourself up for that final lap.
Well, Craig, which position in this group of 7 would you like to be on going into the final lap?
3rd. Simple as, you've got to go 3rd right now. If you're a man right now like Plattman, you're in the fantastic spot. You'll get the double slipstream when the 2 leaders go side by side, and that's just what you want to see. And in fact, he's not waiting. He wants to take the lead. They're going to take it 3 wide going down into the chicane. Plattman on the inside. Lovisolo on the outside. Simonson breaks early, and around the outside goes Lovisolo to hold the lead.
Well, with a lap and a bit to go, your field is set. 7 at the front, and one of these drivers is going to win this race. But the question is going to be who? Coming out to the final corner, Lovisolo will get a bit of a gap because here comes Sam Devontier, now trying to bring himself in place. Samson Palatman is boxed out on the outside. Simonson holding the inside line because he doesn't want anybody to take him away from that 2nd position. Enzo Cantor in P5, the legend that he is, tries to bring himself into this position too and keep himself in this race. But at least for the moment, Palatman shuffled back out into 4th. Devontier may have just timed this one absolutely to perfection, but at 10A and 10B, that might be the one section where all gloves come off and everybody says, I'm not going to give a millimetre out there. I won't even give a pixel out on this track. Simonson looking to go back to back Love is Solo looking to go one place better than last time out. Devontier looking to try and stamp his season with authority, as now here comes the likes of Johansson, the likes of Enzo Cantor will try and bring himself into play here. You got Johansson and Chenoeth waiting on the back in case it all goes wrong, but now here comes the chase, and at 0.3 of a second, I'm sure that you'll be desperately looking at that Jordan-style livery in front, Augusto, of Lachlan Wise, who's trying to keep himself in play, but it's 3 wide as they head to 10A and 10B. Devontier on the inside has the angle of the lane. There's contact. Round goes Johansson. Cantor up over the top, but 2 are clear, and it's Benny Simonson who looks only at 1 Mr. Sam Devontier, who timed it absolutely perfectly. Sam Devontier to the line, wins a Road Atlanta.
Another moment in the background. Lovey Solo goes around a lap car there of Lachlan, trying to get out the way. He holds on to a P5, but that could have been so much better for him. Cantor gets up into P4. We've got a battle to the line as well, with Reheo Otuga just gets by him by the barest of margins to really make a recovery to get into the top 10. It was close all along. What a finish.
What a fantastic end to this race. Samson Palatman turned over the nose. So it wasn't Johansson, it was Palatman who ended up getting the turn. It was very close. They were fighting for every inch out there. Palatman getting the 360, getting back going again. Johansson would have been the driver who would have picked up that advantage from it, then going through, and he'll take third. But that's what happens. 10A, 10B, final lap of Skippies at Road Atlanta. Something always has to give at that section, and the second group are just going to be fortunate they didn't take out the leaders with that. Confirmation of your result then. Sam Devontier will pick up the victory, 24 minutes, 17 seconds, a winning margin of 3.5 of a second over Benny Simonson, with Dennis Johansson finishing off in third. It is then Enzo Cantor and Augusto Lovasolo who round out your top 5, the 2 Italians, 4th and 5th, with Ryan Chenoeth in 6th position and Samson Palatman relegated down to 7th. It will be then Neil Gardner, who had a quiet race in the end, in 8th place, with Yannick Morale in 9th, and Daniel Otuga, who was at the front for the majority of the first half of this race, turned around by Enzo Cantor at the midpoint.
Yeah, Jordi Perreo will take 11th with Peter Suapanki in 12th. Then it's Peter Corrales in 13th with Brendan McDonough. Also a quiet race there in 14th. 15th will be Rafael Ruiz, who's the last man on the lead lap. Lachlan Weiss will have to take a fast repair early on. So did Diego Festari. They finished a lap down. Then Sebastian Radilia retired early, and so did Jeremy Swank for your 19 action-packed Skip Barbers.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff that we've seen here today, with all of the great battling that we get around here with our series action here of the Skippies here on the Global SimRacing Channel. You simply cannot ask for too much more than some amazing racing that we've had there, Craig. But this is the sort of season that you sit down and say, right, every single race, you're going to have to be at the top of your game. You're going to have to not only prove that you're the fastest, but prove you know when to make a move, not just where to make a move. So I think that's what you're seeing here. This is a race series that if you are one of the fastest drivers out there, you can consistently be up there in racing. It's about your racecraft.
All about the racecraft, and we've had 2 races now, 2 tracks, which gives us these opportunities for these long straights, for these switches, these swaps in position. Next week, just for information for those that want to know, it's Okayama International Circuit. Yes, you've got a couple straights. We know where the incidents or the impact zones are going to be on that track, but you're not going to get the straights that you see here. So that slipstream's not going to come into force. It is now going to be a battle of who gets the best of that driving ability, who keeps the tires clean, who doesn't slide so much. Now we've gone for the slipstream tracks. We're really going to start to open it up next week. Fantastic track for these guys at Okayama.
Well, this is what I say as well when it always comes to Okayama, and it's this one thing, Craig, that I'd like to point out just before we shut up shop. iRacing free track.
Yeah. Get your Skip Barbers, get on it, because the series is going to some fantastic tracks later in this season, but that's a track that is always delivering when it comes to racing, and because it's free, it is a great opportunity. Even if you're not watching this live, you're watching this on replay, you're here, you're waiting for the end, I'm telling you, you've got to try it because it's a fantastic track. You've got to try these cars. One of the oldest cars in the sim, and one of the best cars to learn how to drive in the sim.
Absolutely. You look at this car and you look at what this car brings, it gives you all of the tools of the trade when it comes to iRacing to go out there and be quick in pretty much anything. So if you haven't had the chance to race it, do so. If you haven't had the chance to already, do all those fantastic YouTube things, like, share, subscribe, follow, all of it that you need to do, because we've got great racing here with us on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Want to give a massive thanks to the team here today who has brought this show over to you. From, of course, Christian and Daniel, who have been sat there in directors and assistants chairs, from Dougie Beard on the cameras and Craig King alongside me. My name has been Jake Sperry. We've got so much amazing stuff still to come up on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Next week, we'll be with you April 6th, and we are going to be jumping in at Okayama for racing action. So you'll definitely want to try and jump on into that and see what happens at the third round of the championship, because these first two have been simply put incredible. But there's also what comes up next in terms of our action on the Global Sim Racing Channel. You definitely want to mark down what will be coming along in the diary, because we got things like Lotus 79s, which will be coming along later today. You can join the two Joes and Joeys there, Joe Peak and Joey Atterbury, for action, which will be coming along from Sebring. We've got a lovely special event here with Eric Jr. Racing over at Portland. You definitely want to jump in on that, because that will be in the early hours of your morning, so to speak, as you go on by 7:45 EDT there for action there for the Portland Virtual Grand Prix in Next Gen NASCAR Cups. And of course, Sim Racing Republic jumps into play for the first time next week, and Grand Prix Legends will be back in for that. So you definitely want to jump on in if you haven't had the chance to already. But it is one of those days where it's right place, right time. It's about timing a run around Road Atlanta and knowing where to be on the final lap. Craig said it best. You've got to be in P3 on the final lap if you want to go and win this race. And that's where Sam Devontier was very clever at his move into turn one to put himself up to third. It gave him the victory that he wanted, and now cements his season on the right foot. We will see how great battling will turn up in 1 week's time when we're back with you here with your Skip Barber Race Series, round 3 from Okayama. We will see you in Japan.